Good evening, friends. Because it was a science show day, which I'm sure you all know, I thought this evening we would get from the series Getting to Know the World's Greatest Scientists and Inventors. Mike Venezia. Can you tell I'm liking this? And can you also tell that the Little People Big Dreamers series haven't come yet? That's all right. It's hard to wait, though. But anyway, this is a really good book. And it's about a woman very important, Marie Curie. Now, she was French, and I took French in high school, but I also don't really know how to pronounce her name either. Like yesterday with Cesar Chavez, I didn't really know how to do the Spanish words, but there aren't a lot of French words in this book. So I'm sorry if I'm saying her name wrong, but Marie Curie. And when I was a kid in the 1970s, we didn't even use her first name. We called her Madame Curie, which means Mrs. Curie, because Curie was her husband's last name. And now, people don't just call her Mrs. Curie anymore. They give her her first name, her due, Marie. The scientist who made glowing discoveries. So let's take a look. Marie Curie was born Maria Skłodowska in Warsaw, Poland in 1867. She changed her name to Marie when she moved to France as a young woman. When she was a little girl, Marie dreamed of being a scientist, and when she grew up, her dream came true. In fact, she and her husband Pierre became two of the most important scientists in the world. So she had a dream, and she made it come true. Marie Curie made important discoveries about the basic materials that make up the universe. In 1898, she discovered two new elements, one named polonium and the other radium. Elements are materials that can't be separated into anything else. They are totally pure. Gold, uranium, and oxygen are examples of elements. When Marie was born, there were only 65 known elements. Today, there are more than 100 elements that have been discovered. Scientists are always looking for new ones, too. One thing that made polonium and radium remarkable was that they gave off mysterious and powerful invisible rays. These rays of energy are called radiation. You can see right here in the science class. No, Larry, even though you believe it's a pure basic substance, pizza is not an element. That's why I gave you a D. One of Marie's greatest accomplishments was finding out where the mysterious rays came from. Scientists already knew about X-rays and radiation, but no one was sure what caused the rays. Marie Curie believed the powerful rays from polonium and radium came from tiny atoms that were disintegrating inside her newly discovered elements. Until this time, scientists believed that atoms were solid and could never change. But Marie turned out to be right. She and her husband Pierre did experiments that helped to unlock the secrets of the atom. Their discoveries led to new sources of energy and the beginning of the atomic age. For someone who wanted to be a scientist, Marie couldn't have grown up in a better family. Both her parents were teachers. They believed education was the most important thing in the world. That's true. They knew how to make learning fun too. I don't know, I would say love is the most important thing in the world, and then education. Yeah, love, yeah. Anyway, sorry, I just threw that in there. All 5 of the Skłodowska children were brilliant students. Marie, the youngest, was the brightest of them all. Even when Marie was very young, her brother and sisters would sometimes ask her for help with their homework. And there's baby Marie. Oh, I get it now, Marie. Thanks. Really think they were going to Marie as a baby? Marie never had a problem getting top grades in school. Even so, her childhood was not a happy one. In the 1800s, Poland was ruled by Russia. The Russian government treated Polish citizens, including school children, very badly. If students were caught speaking Polish instead of Russian, or studying Polish history rather than Russian history, the whole class could be arrested. Sometimes Russian inspectors dropped in unexpectedly. Because Marie spoke Russian better than other students, she was always chosen to answer the inspector's questions. Marie began feeling nervous and uneasy a lot of the time. When she was 10 years old, things got even worse. Marie's mother died of a disease called tuberculosis. To get her mind off the terrible loss, Marie threw herself into her studies. 5 years later, in 1883, Marie graduated high school, first in her class. And there they are being arrested. It's a cartoon. I told you not to bring Polish sausage sandwiches to school for lunch. Sorry. Marie loved to learn. She really wanted to go to college, but there was a problem. In Poland at the time, women weren't allowed to attend any universities. Marie could have traveled to Paris, France, where women were accepted into college, but she didn't have the money for living expenses. In the meantime, Marie attended a secret school for women. Classes were held at night in different apartments and private homes. During this time, Marie worked out a deal with her older sister, Branya. Marie offered to work and help pay for Branya's medical school in Paris. Then, when Branya graduated, she would help pay for Marie's education. The plan worked perfectly. Marie got a well-paying job as a governess. She cared for and taught children of wealthy people. Marie worked hard, saved money, and sent it to Branya. In her spare time, Marie read and studied every book she could find on her favorite subject, science. Finally, after almost 5 years, Branya graduated. She had also gotten married during this time. Branya and her husband invited Marie to come to France to enter the University of Paris. When Marie arrived in Paris, she couldn't believe her eyes. Paris was much different from anything she had ever imagined. In the late 1800s, Paris was one of the most exciting cities in the world. People there seemed to be free to do and say whatever they wanted. Paris was filled with modern writers, poets, and impressionist artists. It had exciting nightclubs where people enjoyed watching famous can-can dancers. Best of all, though, women were welcome to enter the Sorbonne, another name for the University of Paris at the time. Marie couldn't wait to register. She chose courses in physics. Physics is a science that deals with matter and energy and how they interact. It includes the study of light, heat, sound, and motion. Marie worked as hard as she could, often studying late into the night. After 2 years, Marie did something that had never been done before. She was the first woman to receive a physics degree at the Sorbonne. Not only that, but Marie was first in her class. After graduating, Marie began looking for a workspace to continue scientific experiments. Marie's search would lead to a big change in her life. Marie Sklodowska was introduced to Pierre Curie, a well-known scientist and professor. And they would go out on dates. Oh, Pierre, look! A Cappadocius purpureus on the Sorbus Acapana branch. Oh, yes, and there's the Dryocopus pilatus, too. They're both pretty scientific. Sounds like Miss Rebecca and myself. Yeah. Pierre found a space in a storage shed at school for Marie to use. Marie and Pierre soon found that they had a lot in common. They began dating. The brilliant couple enjoyed spending hours talking about complicated scientific subjects. In 1895, Marie and Pierre decided to get married. They eventually had 2 daughters, Irene and Eve. Their first daughter, Irene, was born in 1897. As busy as Marie was with the new baby, she was determined to continue her education. Pierre encouraged Marie to get her PhD. A PhD, or a doctorate, is the highest degree a school can give out. To earn this degree, though, Marie needed to choose an important scientific subject to study and about which to write a paper. Scientists at the time knew that radium gives off radiation. Marie decided to try and figure out if there were any other materials besides uranium that were radioactive. Marie also wanted to find out what caused the mysterious invisible rays that were powerful enough to pass through skin, bones, wood, and even some metals. After months of hard work, Marie discovered materials gave off even more powerful rays than uranium does. She discovered some materials that did that. Marie discovered polonium and radium in a mixture of minerals called pitchblende. Pitchblende was known to contain uranium, but no one guessed it contained other elements too. Marie knew she would have to separate her newly discovered elements from the other materials in the pitchblende. It was the only way to prove that they really existed and to learn more about each one. It wasn't an easy job, but Marie never minded hard work. Marie had to boil tons of pitchblende in water with acid and other chemicals. She stirred the smelly mess with a heavy iron rod. Marie would then test the leftover sludge. She got rid of any material that wasn't radioactive and kept the rest. Polonium was the first new radioactive element Marie separated out. She named it after her native country, Poland. Gee, Marie, boiling pitchblende in acid sure smells terrible. It's not pitchblende, dear. I decided to make some soup for the faculty lunch today. It took Marie a few more years to separate a small amount of pure radium from the pitchblende. Marie and Pierre were surprised to find that radium gave off a strange bluish-green glow. Sometimes for fun, they would spend evenings in the laboratory watching their discovery glow in the dark. Would you like some popcorn, dear? Thank you, Pierre. Let's look at this green glowing stuff even closer. Marie presented her findings to her professors at the Sorbonne. She had discovered 2 new elements. Marie suggested that the rays of energy they gave off were actually particles from disintegrating atoms. Eventually, scientists would prove that she had been right. Marie was awarded her doctorate degree in 1903, the first woman in France to receive this high honor. Marie and Pierre became world famous for their discoveries and experiments on radiation. They received awards and were given money to help continue their research. Then, just when things seemed to be going great, a terrible tragedy happened. While crossing a busy Paris street, Pierre was run down by a speeding horse-drawn wagon. He was killed instantly. A shocked Marie Curie was suddenly left alone with 2 young daughters. As grief-stricken as she was, Marie did her best to raise her daughters and carry on with her work. When news about the discovery of radium got around, people all over the world were curious to see what mysterious, powerful rays could do. Radium was found to be valuable in fighting cancer and other serious diseases. Radium was often misused, however. Some manufacturers believed radium would be good for the skin and hair care. They began making products that contained small amounts of radium. At the time, nobody knew that radium could be very dangerous if it wasn't handled properly. Wilson, are you sure this radium stuff is safe? Of course, Mr. Smithers. Why do you ask? Well, everybody's glowing and turned into skeletons. Early into their research, both Marie and Pierre began feeling like they had the flu all the time. They also had strange burns on their fingers. And later, doctors would learn that the Curies had radiation poisoning. When Marie died at the age of 66, it was from the effects of handling radium during years of research. By the time she died in 1934, Marie Curie was one of the most famous scientists in the world. Throughout her career, she had generously shared her discoveries and her knowledge with other scientists. She always believed in the good that science could do for people all over the world and was willing to prove it. During World War I, Marie equipped trucks with X-ray machines and trained people to use them. Marie bravely traveled to battlefield areas to assist doctors. She helped save the lives of thousands of wounded soldiers. And that is the story of Marie Curie, a scientist. Like Miss Rebecca, like me. No, we're not. She was a real scientist. Perhaps you will be a scientist one day? Is that one of your dreams? I do hope that your dreams come true. Kiss your beautiful brains. Kiss your loving hearts. Look in the mirror and say, hey, good looking. And thank you for another day of being able to serve you. We are so very grateful. Thank you.